I walked out of Scream 7 and I honestly didn't know how to feel. Because while I was watching it, I was engaged, and there's a death in this movie that really did make me gasp. But the more I thought about it, the more it started to fall apart. So, Scream 7. So this one feels different. We lost the two core characters and we have a new director for this film who's the writer of the first two Scream movies, and we shifted the plot back to Sidney. It almost feels like a soft reboot. In a sense, it seems like they're trying to recalibrate the franchise and go back to its original roots. And honestly, I respect that move. The problem is, just because you're going back to its natural roots doesn't mean it will always work. Let's start with the positives. The opening for every Scream movie is always notoriously awesome. It builds suspense the way the franchise is known for, and that slow burn phone call tension and the creepy "this isn't gonna end well" feeling. Even with being this deep into the franchise, they still know how to make a very intense and creepy opening, and I applaud them for that. And this movie moves. The twists and the turns, the plot shifts and everything. I was on the edge of my seat. I didn't expect anything that was really gonna happen in this one. And you know, like every other Scream movie, the kills are always so beautiful. There's one in this movie that actually made me audibly gasp. No spoilers, but when you see it, you guys know what I'm talking about. And I also like the dynamic between Sidney and her daughter,
Tatum.
Yes,
Tatum.
she named her after her best friend in the first movie. The dynamic between them does give a parallel as the same dynamic between Laurie Strode and her daughter in Halloween 2018. Except Sidney didn't raise her daughter on survival mode, so it really comes off slightly useless. But it shows that Sidney wanted to give her daughter a normal life, which I do enjoy the difference between that and Laurie. And just to clear something up, Sidney having kids and a husband isn't really random like I see people talking about on social media. That was mentioned before in previous films. If you're a longtime fan, you probably caught that, but it wasn't like straight into your face. It was just briefly talked about. Also, McKenna Grace being in this and then being casted as Daphne in the live-action Scooby-Doo show is the same parallel as Sarah Michelle Gellar being casted in Scream and then becoming Daphne.
Coincidence? I think not!
The studios know what they're doing. And I'll be honest, I miss Dewey. Straight up, I miss him a lot. But not because I want them to undo what they're trying to do. It just feels like without him that the story was a bit unbalanced. There wasn't really that much emotion into this. And I'm just really obsessed with the original trio. But I do enjoy that they did bring some people back from the previous films to showcase that there is some part of previous films still lingering in here. But where there's good, there's bad, and we'll talk about that. This is where they lost me. I know in previous Scream films, there's reveals that suck and there's reveals that are amazing. But in this one, the reveal was terrible. There was no payoff to that. And in my honest opinion, this might be the most worst reveal I've seen in this franchise. You guys can comment below and tell me what you guys think about that. And without spoiling anything, it just felt a bit rushed. There wasn't anything that correlated these characters to do what they were having to do. It didn't have enough heart. I didn't see that the motives actually made sense. And the Stu element, I feel that was just a selling ploy because that reveal was honestly terrible. I feel like it could have been used as something bigger and something more intense than what they actually went with. And this feels like a completely different film than the last two. The only thing that was holding it together, like I said, was the twins that they brought back from 5 and 6. Without them, this would have felt like a mid reboot of the franchise. If you really look at it, this film just looks like it's a sequel to the 4th movie. And that's not necessarily bad, it's just that the way they went about it was just terrible because they could have went the route with like Halloween and Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, which actually established it better. But this one kind of got weak when it got to explaining all that. And as the movie progresses, you see that some of these decisions made by these young adults were completely terrible. Like a lot of people in this movie were dumber than usual. I know they had the ploy of horror movie, slasher, we have stupid teenagers, they're struggling to survive. But it got me thinking, how did you guys even survive some of these films being that dumb? It's a play on what they've been doing since the first film. I know there's jokes about it, especially in the Scary Movie franchise. But this was just, I don't know, like I felt like Brenda in Scary Movie screaming, "Get out of there! Why are you going in there?" Because I was literally losing my mind from it. And like I said before about this feeling like a different movie, you can feel the pivot because after they, fired Melissa and Jenna Ortega quit, they had to go a different route and rehire Neva Campbell, which they paid her a lot more for this, but you can see that she did not want to be here because I loved her energy at the beginning of this franchise, but watching her act, still good, but it could have been better. It really does seem like she did not want to be here. But to even that out, the kills are still cool in this movie. And isn't that what we're here for? But looking at the big picture, Scream 7 isn't really terrible. It's entertaining in the moment. The opening works like always. The kills are fun. And the Sydney and Autumn dynamic was actually fairly enjoyable. But structurally, it doesn't really hold together. The pacing is terrible. Like I told you, they last minute changed the script and you can feel that. The reveal weakens everything that came before it, and the soft reset energy never really sticks. So for me, Scream 7, I give this some entertainment. I'm sorry. It's watchable, it has strong individual moments, but the weakest motives in the franchise, they wasted Stu, and that visible recalibration kept it from being amazing. If they honestly make a Scream 8, I would be baffled, man, like seriously. And I can't help but think what this movie would have been like if they kept Melissa and Jenna, and if they didn't change the plot around. Maybe in a different universe, maybe in a different universe. So after Scream 7, who is your favorite Ghostface? And does this reveal even crack the top 2? And if you like my vibe, comment below, like and subscribe. And I'm James Hancock, signing off.